In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the Salesforce.com source and destination, which are part of Task Factory from Pragmatic Works. The Salesforce source and destination adapters allow you to interact with your Salesforce.com account. The source allows you to pull data, and the destination allows you to send data. Both pages or both adapters have their own page out here on our website, so you can come and take a look at a more in-depth overview of what each one does. And if you want to just get a quick overview of all of Task Factory and see all the components that are part of it, you can come to pragmaticworks.com and click on the Task Factory link. So let's take a look at how it works within SSIS. After you've installed Task Factory, you're going to have it over here in your toolbox, and you're just going to be able to pull it over and start configuring it. I'm going to go ahead and configure a new one here so you can kind of get an overview of how easy it is to set up. The first thing you need to do is you need to create a connection manager. If you don't have one like I do here, you can click on Create New Salesforce.com Connection, and then the connection manager will show up and allow you to enter in the data. You put in your username, which is usually your email address. You put your password and your security token in. Once you reset your password, you always get an email with your security token in it. So if you don't have it, you need to reset your password, go reset your password, and they'll send you the security token. The advanced allows you to connect to sandbox accounts. So for instance, we have our sandbox account set up here. You can go in and put whatever URL that you want to put there for whatever sandbox account that you have. If you're sitting behind a proxy, you can use proxy and then connect to that proxy. But I already have one set up, so I'm going to go ahead and select it. The next thing you should need to do is select an object in which you want to pull data from. So in this case, I'm just going to use account. There's an option over here on the right hand side that says include deleted or archive records, and what that allows you to do is that if you have deleted or archive records as part of your account table, it will pull those records down as well. Now by default, you can just click OK here, and it's going to create all of the necessary metadata, and you can just start pulling data right down. And you can see that everything has been set up. However, if you need to restrict the data in any way, you can click on Edit Salesforce Query, and then you can come down here and you can say something to the effect of where last modified date is greater than, and then you can put the date goes here. Okay, so what the other thing that you can do is you can actually just define a variable, a date variable, and pull that in, and this allows you to just replace the variable value right here in the Salesforce query, and then when you click on preview data, it's just going to give you an overview, a quick overview of the first 10 rows that are being pulled back. And you can see here you can change it to 15 or 56, whatever you want to put in there. It allows you to see that preview, and that again is a very quick way to restrict data coming back from your account. So what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and put a data viewer on this real quick. And then we'll be able to see the data coming back. But first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and delete this, and we're going to go ahead and run this, and so we can see the data being pulled back. All right. Oh, we got a couple visual. Let me close some of these out. And there we go. So you look right here, and we can see the data that's being pulled back from our Salesforce.com account table. So let's go ahead and close that one down, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the destination now. The Salesforce.com destination allows you to do 4 different tasks. It allows you to update, insert, upsert, and delete. Now upsert means that if the record exists on the server, go ahead and update it. If it doesn't exist, insert it. And so we're going to go ahead and open up the Salesforce destination here. And you can see here what I have it set up to do is to upsert. And again, it's the same exact setup. You choose a connection manager, you choose the object where you want to send data to, and then you choose your action, which is a little bit different here than the source. There's no action over there, but here you have to choose insert, upsert, update, or delete. Now for this example, I'm just going to show you upsert because that's one of the most used action, because that allows users to upsert or insert or update whether it exists or not. Now the issue here is that you have to have an external ID as part of your contact table on Salesforce.com. And what I mean by that is that you have to have an external ID set up on your contact table, or whatever table that you're using. But in this case, I have a contact ID set up as my external ID. And the external ID is the identifier from your source data. And what I mean by that is that in my table on my database locally, I have an identity column that is set, that is the contact ID, and I'm inserting that data into Salesforce. That way, when I go and run the upsert, it says, does this ID exist already for an account, for a row on my contact table? If it does, update it. If it doesn't, insert this new row. So let's go back to Salesforce, and then you can see here that not only do I have to say, select an external ID here, I actually have to map it down here as well. Now this down here, what this allows you to do is says if something happens during the insert, you can fail the component, you can ignore the failure, or you can redirect row to error output. And in this case, I'm redirecting the row to error output on purpose. And the reason for that is that it allows you, it being the destination, allows you to see both the errors and the good data coming out. And by good data, I mean data that has been inserted or updated properly. And so we can see that what we're going to see here is that one row is going to be inserted, and then 4 rows are going to error out. And how you tell the difference is that you drag your error output to this is a conditional split transform. If the error code is greater than -1, you have an error in that row. If there is no error, it's going to be the error code is -1. And you can see I split the good rows that go here, and I split the bad rows that go over here. So when we run this, we're going to see one good row, and we're going to get back the identifier from Salesforce, meaning when the row is inserted, we are able to retrieve that Salesforce ID, and then all the other rows are going to go to our error output. So let's go ahead and execute this. Okay, so let's see what we got here. We should see this running. There we go. Okay, so this is our good row, and we can see right here that the ID column coming out of the Salesforce Destination contains the identifier from Salesforce. So Salesforce created an ID of whatever this is here, and then if we go right here and we look at the bad data, let's go ahead and close that down. Close this down. We can see here that we've got a bunch of records that weren't good, and I gave you 3 different examples of errors here. One is that the email address is bad. This is saying that the ID that I sent to it was bad, and I did that on purpose. And then that this one, what happened is I went and I inserted the same row 3 or 4 times, and you can see here that it gives you back all the IDs, or at least the first 4 anyways, that have the same contact ID on Salesforce.com. My external ID that I set up has the same ID a couple of times. And that's why you get that error. But you can see that when it ran, we got 1 good row, and then we got 4 bad rows, and we see that right here. And so that was just a quick overview of both the source and destination.